The current deal allows Iran to go forward fast with enrichment programs which could lead to a nuclear weapon. Now, and no sanctions go back on. We need to find a way of fixing that, and the president has been right to call attention to it. But you've got to do that without just throwing the baby out with the bathwater, without scrapping the whole thing. Because if you do that, you have to answer the question, what next? What if the Iranians do rush for a nuclear weapon? Are we seriously saying that we're going to bomb those facilities at Qom and Fordow and Natanz? Is that really a realistic possibility?
Mr. Secretary,
or do we work with what we've got and push back on Iran together?
Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson, he's visiting Washington and couldn't get a meeting with Donald Trump, the president. Of course, he's only a foreign secretary, he's not a head of government, but he did manage to get his attention by speaking on Fox News. That's basically what Donald Trump spends his day doing, trying to urge Donald Trump to stay in the Iran nuclear deal, but also talking up the idea that if he can deal with Iran and tackle the nuclear threat posed by North Korea, then he could be up for the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, let's talk to Professor Robert Sigh, who's from the Department of Politics at Birkbeck University of London, and joins us now. Good morning to you, Robert.
Good morning, Julia.
Well, let's talk first of all. Was it ever likely that Donald Trump would be able to turn Donald Trump's mind around on this issue of the Iran nuclear deal? Because it does sound like that he's going to make an announcement today that America is pulling out of it.
I don't think it's very likely that Trump would change his mind. I'm not sure that Boris was the person to do it in the first place. He's not exactly Henry Kissinger in the diplomatic states as far as the other countries are concerned.
No, exactly. But he's obviously taking a message from not just the British, but the French and the Chinese and others who are very anxious that Donald Trump wants to walk away from this deal and feel that this will then send a message, well, that Iran could go ahead with trying to create nuclear weapons, and it sends a message to other countries that basically Americans can sign a deal and then renege on it at any time.
Yes, I think the problem has always been what they would actually offer Trump as an incentive for staying in the deal. And in a strange way, it's exposed him for the bluster that he's engaged in, because actually, pulling out of the deal on the US part isn't going to do anything to deal with what they're really concerned about, which is the non-nuclear behaviour of Iran. And I think it's that quid pro quo that's been missing on the part of the Europeans here.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that's the issue. And what did you make of this this idea about the Nobel Peace Prize? Because at the end of the day, if we can see after all these years North Korea and South Korea actually agreeing a peace deal, I mean, we had this extraordinary summit last week, and maybe the denuclearization of North Korea. This would be deserving, wouldn't it?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. But believe it when it happens, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Boris did have a point there, I think. Obama got the Nobel Peace Prize as a gesture before his first year was out, having done nothing. So by comparison, I think the Foreign Secretary is absolutely right. Were this deal to come off, it would be an amazing achievement. But, I think the chances of that are absolutely minimal in my view.
Not going to happen. All right then. Professor Robert Sigh, Department of Politics at Birkbeck University of London. Appreciate your time. Thank you. Let's bring in Christian Wolmar and Paul Scully again on this. Christian Wolmar, I mean, the thought for you of Donald Trump getting a Nobel Peace Prize, even if he did bring peace to the world.
Well, I was interested in what Professor Sigh said there, that, chances of a deal are pretty minimal. And so I don't think this issue is ever going to come up. But come on, take this seriously. I mean, Donald Trump is really just... he's such an odious man that you couldn't possibly give him a Nobel Peace Prize, Well,
hold on. No.
Yeah.
So it's the Nobel Peace Prize handed out because we like people, or because people actually bring about peace. Barack Obama, he in 2009
no, let's not talk about Barack. Okay,
got the Nobel Peace Prize for doing nothing.
Because he was a nice guy. Yeah, that was a mistake.
Arguably, because he actually made the world a less safe place.
Julia, let's just talk about Donald Trump and not Obama, right? I mean, Donald Trump doesn't have the sort of character that you'd want to reward with a Nobel Peace Prize. He's an unpleasant, bad-tempered, ill-read man who
So what? Oh, he's
just
ill-read, so he shouldn't get a Nobel Peace
Well,
Prize.
because I don't think he's got any diplomatic skills. I mean, he's
Hold
a
on a
man
minute.
he's a man who
Do
rules
you-
by tweet.
Do you? Look, I agree with everything you've said about him, but realistically, Paul Scully, would we have had North Korea and South Korea meeting? Would we have had the possibility of this summit if we carried on with Obama's policies?
Absolutely not. And I think Christian's wrong that you do not give people peace prizes because of their character. You sort of hope that their character is what brings them to be diplomatic, and whether this is inadvertent or not, with his big button diplomacy, the way he tweets, how he's brought Korea together. If that came off, then maybe he should be deserving of it. But the Iran deal is really crucial because this is something that affects the relationship with Saudi Arabia, with Syria, with all of that region. It's a really important thing that we do get to grips with, and the implications of what Donald Trump's about to do.
I don't agree about the Korea thing. I think the Korea thing was brought about because South Korea has now a more liberal leader who was prepared to talk to the North Koreans. I don't think Donald Trump's intervention helped at all.
Oh.